Hello. I have just been to see The Joker 2. And now, well, you know what I am going to tell you. Arch was right. For the umpteenth bazillionth time, as The Joker 2 is... oh boy, it's not a very good movie. Let's just lead in with that, shall we? And it demonstrates that The Joker did not, in fact, need a sequel, and it certainly did not need this sequel, as it seems... I don't know, almost designed to undermine itself, as if both the cast and the director looked at the previous one, saw the enormous amount of money it made, and thought, well, I guess we kinda have to do another one now, but we really, really do not want to. So how can we make damn sure there will never be a Joker 3? And, in that, at least, I think they have most assuredly so succeeded. There are quite a few problems with this movie, so let's begin with the most obvious one, and the one that many of us called right from the get-go. The fact that this is not a movie about the Joker, it is a movie about Harley Quinn, first and foremost, in much the same way as Joaquin Phoenix's previous job now, Napoleon, was not actually a movie about Napoleon. Arthur Fleck does play a leading role, if nothing else, but beyond that, he's a motivational piece. He is something for Harley Quinn to act upon, and just as I predicted, that is the only thing that happens here. At no point, at whatsoever, does Arthur Fleck / Joker act upon Harley Quinn. Never. She is the one who initiates contact. She is the one who speaks to him. She is the one who does the crazy nonsense to shake him out of his lethargy, as he has practically just accepted his place in the world now, in a mental institution where apparently he's in a mental institution, but they're still trying to figure out if he's crazy. Details, eh? There's even a scene where after Harley has already seduced the Joker kisses her and she stops him until she finishes putting on his clown makeup and then allows him to continue. Harley Quinn is the Joker in this movie, and the Joker is a Harley Quinn. I mean, hey... again, we all called this already, because you cannot, in the current year, have a supporting female character. You are simply not allowed. You cannot have a man acting upon a woman, and especially not in the way that the Joker actually acted upon Harley Quinn, in that sort of manipulative way. Now, the other way around, of course, is entirely okay, apparently. So that is the obvious problem, duh. But this too, it kind of leads into the even bigger problem, namely that the movie asks the question, and this is kind of like the entire core premise of the movie and the rationale for why it was even made, is Arthur Fleck the Joker? And indeed, the movie begins with a 50s cartoon-style animated intro opening, which, well, practically parodies the first movie in a weird way. And this then becomes the central question. Is Arthur Fleck the Joker? And the movie kind of vacillates back and forth between these two questions, as initially, Arthur Fleck is very clearly Arthur Fleck, but then under the influence of Harley Quinn, he turns back into the Joker because she's full-on seduced him now. He is a weak, vulnerable individual who has been downtrodden his entire life. When a female shows any sort of interest in him, well, he throws himself at her and is willing to do pretty much anything whatsoever to please her. Then he turns into the Joker, and the only really decent scene in the entire movie is when he actually is the Joker for about one scene, and then he breaks down again, and he returns to being Arthur Fleck, and rejects the Joker. So at the end of the day, the movie kind of answers its own question, that yes, Arthur Fleck is not the Joker. In fact, the ending kind of introduces an alternate Joker. The ending is a problem in and of itself. If you're worried about spoilers, this is your hint to dip out now, incidentally, as we will be getting into that territory as well. But the problem here is, if you are going to make a movie about the Joker, if you're going to make Joker the movie, if you then begin with the question, is Joker real? You've somewhat undermined the very premise of your movie here. And that is exactly what this is. It's a 2-hour-plus long question that is answered in the opening sequence of the movie. No, the Joker isn't real here. It is Arthur Fleck. And at best case scenario, he's acting out the Joker, and he is allowing his dark passenger, to use a Dexter reference, to take the wheel on occasion. And even then, he doesn't do so willingly, I suppose, or more that he struggles with it. He's playing a role at that point. A liberating role sometimes, but not always. This, of course, also then goes back to the first Joker and kind of undermines that entire movie, because in that movie, the Joker does become a thing. Arthur Fleck does become the Joker, whereas here they just reverse all of that again. And once more, if that is your conclusion, that Arthur Fleck is not the Joker, then why on God's earth make an entire movie about it? Unless, as the director already kind of said, that they disliked the reception of the first movie, because the director really does not understand his own work on the first movie, and he doesn't understand why people were looking at the Joker and sympathizing with him, or seeing a way to connect with him, especially in our current year. Something that the director couldn't quite figure out. And so he clearly wanted to undermine the Joker in this one, and in essence, remove him entirely from the board. And this is where we get to the ending, where Arthur Fleck is led to a corridor with another prisoner, and you already know what's going to happen. It's not particularly shocking at that point. The prisoner stabs him to death, and then slits his mouth open, or at least it sounds like it, and then starts giggling. The idea being that the Joker is now this other guy, as if the Joker is an idea, I suppose, in a ham-fisted way, or is somehow transferred, like the Joker is an evil spirit or some such nonsense. And you know what? That would be a more interesting thing to actually interrogate and investigate. Okay, let's say that the Joker is not a character, he's not a person. Because again, this is not the Batman's Joker by any stretch of the imagination, right? Not even close. But that he is an idea. That would kind of gel with the first one as well. The revolt of the downtrodden, where you have pushed people to the edge so far that they see no way out but the extremes. And that could then kind of be overlaid here to a certain extent, as the Joker is also blown out of the courthouse without you actually being told how. It's just a car bomb, apparently, that explodes. Then he finds Harley, and Harley's like, yeah, I don't like you, I like the Joker. Because that's been the entire premise of Harley, in that she wants to try and get Arthur Fleck to become the Joker. Again, Harley is the only one with any actual agency in this situation. She is the one acting upon Fleck, attempting to transform him into what she wishes for him to be. And the moment he rejects that, she rejects him. Rather based take on women, I guess. But again, even if that would be a more interesting thing, the idea of the Joker, it's not really explored here beyond the last literal 30 seconds of the movie, and that's it. It's a waste of 2 hours for a banal courtroom drama that doesn't really do anything particularly interesting or well, and the musical aspect of it. Okay, so we gotta talk about the musical thing, I guess. They didn't talk about the musical part in the marketing. They kept it out of the marketing as much as they possibly could, and for good reason. It was a weird choice, and here's the thing. I like musicals. A good musical is some really excellent stuff. See, I have the controversial view on rapping that I would like to bring up here. Rap done well is poetry put to music. But that is 0.1% of the actual rap music out there. Musicals is much the same thing. If done well, it too is poetry put to music. It can express emotions and states of beings far more so than most movies could ever dream of, due to having the additional power of music, a medium designed to create emotions and reactions, and a good choice of music tracks can completely transform an entire scene and add enormous gravitas to events. Whereas poor choice of music and songs can also completely undermine them. This is the latter. The musicals are... They feel out of place. They feel randomly shoved in there, not thought through. The singing isn't bad, but it's not exceptional either, and the texts are terrible. There is a song which is basically, we'll build a mountain, and then the word mountain, repeated about 72 times, with no reasonable or rationale about it. What is the mountain? Is the mountain the movement? Is the mountain the Joker movement? Okay. Are you going to explore that? No. Alright. What is the mountain you're building? Is it the new life with Joker? No. Alright. Is the mountain Joker's child, which is supposedly in there, although Harley could just be lying as well? No. Okay. What is the relevance of this? Oh, it's building a fantasy that is now destroyed. That's dumb. That is unironically terrible. And again, these songs would be mediocre at the very best of times. And in a musical, a mediocre musical number is the death of your musical. I would unironically argue right now that goddamn Deadpool and Wolverine is a better musical than Joker 2, okay? At the very least, Ryan Reynolds has a sense for when to put in a power ballad, right? This movie does not. And the worst part is, they have certain songs, like When the Saints Come Marching In, for example, which could be used into an interesting musical number. You could use that for it, and they don't. They've got an objectively better song, which they could actually use here to illustrate liberation or freedom or something, and they just choose not to. Why? The musical numbers do not work. They subtract from the movie straight up by dragging it out yet further. And it comes across as nothing more than because they were like, oh hey, we can get Lady Gaga in on this. Oh, she's popular, right? Well, how are we going to utilize her? Have her sing. Okay? I suppose. Again, like I said to begin with, it kind of feels like the entire cast just gave up on this, with only like the lunatic fringe taking over, like Joaquin Phoenix having those weird ideas. Hey, what if we make it into a musical? And Nova's like, okay, that's a cool idea. How is the music gonna be? Shit. Oh. Is that a good idea then? No? Oh, well, let's go with it anyways. What if the Joker dies? Oh, okay. Then what? Oh, there'll be a new Joker. Huh. Okay, will Arthur Fleck at least act like the Joker? Yeah, in one scene. Okay. Why? Oh, just because he really wants to get into Harley's pants again. Oh boy. It's a terrible movie. It does not deserve to exist. It is already underperforming quite severely at the box office, according to the early tracking. It's probably not going to do very well, and I think it's going to be generally rejected by the masses because nothing of what made the first Joker great is in here. There is no speaking to the masses. There is no intriguing psychological situation here. Pushing a person to the brink, there's none of that. The key elements appear to be, one, is Arthur Fleck Joker? Which the answer is no, it just kind of answers you that. Two, it's a courtroom drama, but a bad one. Like, it's got like one halfway decent courtroom scene, and that's it. And three, it's Harley Quinn turning the Joker into the Joker, rather than the Joker turning Harley Quinn into Harley Quinn. and it comes across as pandering, as weak and uninteresting. And at the end of the day, when Harley Quinn looks at the Joker and goes, yeah, no, I'm not interested in you, it undermines the entire idea of it. Again, the core of Harley Quinn's entire character is the Joker. She is defined by the Joker. Even when she goes her separate ways, who is she going her separate ways from? The Joker. Harley Quinn's entire character is him, and no matter how far you move her away from that, it remains the God's honest truth and fact of the matter. You will never be able to turn Harley Quinn into anything but Joker's sidekick, no matter how far removed she is, and that is the beauty of it. That is the insane influence of the Crown Prince of Crime. There is no rejecting this identity, it is in your DNA. And the entire point of that is, of course, the idea that Harleen Quinzel, this highly educated psychiatrist, a successful career woman, can still be bent to the will of madness. And her entire character arc thereafter is either embracing or struggling against it. It's like they literally turned that into Arthur Fleck's story. They made him Harley Quinzel without actually understanding what makes Harley Harley. Because without a Joker, and again Harley rejects Joker, you don't really have a Harley. A very, very poorly thought out movie that only exists because the first one made a ridiculous amount of bank. And they are probably hoping that they'll be able to squeeze out a little bit more and then simply leave the scene entirely. And then they get to talk about and badmouth their own movie thereafter. Oh, people didn't understand it. Oh, they didn't get it. Oh, we were striking back at the darned incel terrorists that liked the first one. And so on and so on. It's sad. As there would at least have been a possibility here of creating a Joker for a future story. You know, you could have actually made a Joker character, even though, having seen what they created, I would have much rather preferred if they simply just stopped with the first Joker, but at the very least you could have explored the idea of the grand psychosis, the madness gripping society, but instead we have woman mentally breaks and manipulates man. Anywho, that is my thoughts on the Joker 2. It's bad. Don't watch it, and it's everything you feared it would be. Oh, and of course, Arch was right again. It cannot be said often enough. Have a good night.